Strawberry's Adventure. Diggory kept his mouth very tight shut. He had been growling more and more uncomfortable. He hoped that whatever happened, he wouldn't blurb or do anything ridiculous. "Son of Adam," said Aslan, "are you ready to undo the wrong and that you have done to my sweet country of Narnia on the very day of its birth?" "Well, I don't see what I can do," said Diggory. "You see, the Queen ran away, and I asked, 'Are you ready?'" said the Lion. "Yes," said Diggory. He had for a second some wild idea of saying, "I'll try to help you if you'll promise to help my mother," but he realized in time that the Lion was not at all the sort of person one could try to make bargains with. But when he had said yes, he thought of his mother, and he thought of the great hopes he had had, and how they were all dying away, and a lump came in his throat and tears in his eyes, and he blurted out, "But please, please, won't you? Can't you give me something that will cure my mother?" Up till then he had been looking at the Lion's great feet and the huge claws on them. Now, in his despair, he looked up at his face. What he saw surprised him as much as anything in his whole life, for the tawny face was bent down near his own, and wonder of wonders, great shining tears stood in the Lion's eye. They were such big bright tears compared with Diggory's own that for a moment he felt as if the Lion must really be sorry about his mother that he was himself. My son," said Aslan, "I know grief is great. Only you and I in this land knows that yet. But let us be good to one another. But I have to think of 100 years of in the life of Narnia. The witch whom you have brought into this world will come back to Narnia again. But it needed to be yet. It is my wish to plant in Narnia a tree that she will not dare to approach, and that tree will protect Narnia from her from many years. So this land shall have a long bright morning before any clouds come over the sun. You must get me the seed from which that tree is to grow." "Yes, sir," said Diggory. He didn't know how it was to be done, but he felt quite sure now that he would be able to do it. The Lion drew a deep breath, stooped its head even lower, and gave him a lion's kiss. And at once Diggory felt him new strength and courage had gone into him. "Dear son," said Aslan, "I will tell you what you must do. Turn and look to the west and tell me what you see." "I see terribly big mountains," Aslan said. "Diggory, I see this river coming down cliffs in a waterfall, and beyond the cliffs are high green hills with forests, and beyond those there are high ranges that look almost black, and then far away there's a big snowy mountain that heaps up together like pictures of the Alps, and behind those there's nothing but the sky." You see well," said the Lion. "Now the land of Narnia ends where the waterfall comes down, and once you have reached the top of the cliff, you will be out of Narnia and into the western wilds. You must journey through those mountains till you find a green valley with a blue lake in it, walled round by mountains of ice. At the end of the lake there is a steep green hill. On the top of that hill there is a garden. In the center of the garden is a tree. Pluck an apple from the tree and bring it back to me." "Yes, sir," said Diggory again. He hadn't the least idea of how he was going to climb the cliff and find his way among the among all the mountains. But he didn't like to say that for fear it would sound like making excuse. But he did say, "I hope, Aslan, you're not in a hurry. I shan't be able to get there and back very quickly." "Little son of Adams, you shall have help," said Aslan. He then turned to the horse who had been standing quietly beside them all this time, swishing his tail to keep the flies off, and listening to with his head on one side, as if the conversation were a little difficult to understand. "My dear," said Aslan to the horse, "would you like to be a winged horse? You should have seen how the horses shook its mane, and how its nostrils widened, and the little tap it gave the ground with one back hoof. Clearly it would very much like to be a winged horse, but it only said, 'If you wish, Aslan, if you really mean, I don't know why it should be me. I'm not a very clever horse. Be winged, be a father of a flying horse,' roared Aslan in a voice that shook the ground. 'Your name is Fledge.' The horse she, just as it might have she in the old miserable days when it pulled a handsome. Then it roared. It strained its neck back as if there were a fly biting its shoulders, and it wanted to scratch them. And then, just as the beast had burst out of the earth, there was a burst out of the shoulder of Fledge's wings that spread and grew larger than eagles, larger than swans, larger than eagles which winged in church-wedding downs. The feathers shone chestnut colors and copper colors. He gave a great sweep with them, and leaped into the air. 20 feet above, Aslan and Diggory snorted, neighed, and curved. Then, after circling once around them, he dropped to the earth, all four hoofs together, looking awkward and surprised, but extremely pleased. "It is good, Flesh," said Aslan. "It is very good, Aslan," said Flesh. "Will you carry this little son of Adam's on your back to the mountain valleys I spoke of?" "What now?" at once said Strawberry or Fletch, as we must now call him. "Hooray! Come on, little one. I've had things like you on my back before, long, long ago, where there were green fields and sugar. What are the two daughters of Eve whispering about?" said Aslan, turning very suddenly on Polly and the cabbie's wife, who had in fact been making friends. "If you please, sir," said the Queen Helen, for that is Nelly, the cabman's wife, now was, "I think the little girl would love to go too, if it went no trouble." "What does Fledge say about that?" asked the Lion. "Oh, I don't mind too, but when they're little ones," said Fledge. "But I hope the elephant doesn't want to come as well." The elephant had no such wise wish, and the new King of Narnia helped both the children up. That is, he gave Diggory a rough heave, and set Polly as gently, as stately on the horseback as if she were made in China and might break. There they are, Strawberry Fledge. I should say this is a Rimgo. Don't fly too high," said Aslan. "Do not try to go over the tops of the great ice mountain. Look for the valley, the green place, and fly through them. There will always be a way through, and now be gone with my blessing." "Oh, Fledge," said Diggory, leaning forward to pat the horse's glossy neck. "This is fun, holding on to me, Polly." Next moment, Country dropped away beneath them and whirled around, as Fledge, like as a huge pigeon, circled once or twice before setting off on its long western flight. Looking down, Polly could hardly see the King and Queen, and even Aslan himself was only a bright yellow spot on the green grass as soon as the wind was in. Their face Fledge settled down on a steady beat.